Oh boy, Sigmund.
Yes.
What a show we've got in store for everyone today.
Yeah. Don't make decisions when you're emotionally inflamed or aroused. I think that's the key. Don't make decisions from emotional brain. Make decisions from rational brain.
Okay, let's see what we can do this time.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Well, we don't do recaps of the divisional round, but if we did, Sigmund, we would be talking about the Buffalo Bills falling short again. I'm sick of people blaming Josh Allen. I fully blame Sean McDermott. So I ask you this morning, why in the
Yes.
hell is he still head coach of the Bills? Why? Why? They're not going to do anything with that guy running the show. You're wasting Josh Allen. Why in the hell is McDermott still the head coach?
There's so many ways I could answer this question, Cease. I would say the first answer is that this organization went through the desert. It was a long period. How many years in a row, Cease, were they picking 8th, 9th, 12th, 10th?
Always, yeah.
Who got them out of that? Was it Josh Allen? Was it Sean McDermott? Was it both? I suppose the answer is because at this point you could go backwards instead of going forwards. I would say the more specific answer that I would give, I'm not claiming that this is how the Pegulas and the ownership are thinking, is it Sean McDermott's fault Stephon Diggs didn't catch that ball, right? Is it Sean McDermott's fault that the protection Deion Dawkins gave wasn't good enough to allow Josh Allen to throw that go-ahead touchdown, right? You look at these different moments in the game, and Cease, I think it becomes like a syndrome, right? We talked about this last week in the preview, that it might be better for this game to be played in Kansas City for Buffalo than in Buffalo, because you have the mass psychology, you have the organism, the mass psyche of the fans. And at this point, you almost expect things to go wrong, right? We're back in the 4 straight Super Bowl losses mindset of a very, very good team, but you know that something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. And we could get into what you think about, you bring about, and so on.
Right.
Is that Sean McDermott? Now, I think the best argument, and to echo your tone, is because this team in Josh Allen's prime should be a Super Bowl or bust team, exercise the demons team, you just have to say, this isn't good enough. And it's a tough business. It's a results-based business. And even if it's not Sean McDermott's fault that these things happen, he hasn't done enough to reverse that trend.
Well, where's his defense at, right? Mr. Defense, Mr. Ignore the Offense, get a God-blessed coach. Damn it, I'm going to do it today. I swear to God, I'm going to cuss on this show. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, man. McDermott sucks, okay? There's no other way around this. And again, you're wasting a precious asset. I think Diggs is done. I think he's washed. You can't lose your mind. And he lost his mind for hashtag reasons we won't talk about on this show. But like, okay, you can lose your mind last year in the postseason. You drop that flipping pass. Like, okay, this is not working. And what they're doing, Bloom, I will quote Thanos this morning, and I'm feeling very snap-like today.
Uh-huh.
The bring it back snap, right? So what is it? Back and forth snap, whatever.
2 snaps up.
Yeah, exactly. It's inevitable. All you're delaying is the inevitable. Sean McDermott will be fired. His stupid comments about 9/11, don't even get me started on that. Just hogwash, bogus, garbage, terrible. And then this performance, you're only delaying the inevitable. So welcome to Buffalo. You're going to do this all over again next year. The stupid Travis Kelce stuff, and I do have Chiefs fatigue, I'll be honest.
Sure. Don't we all?
I think we all do. It has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I don't even care about that. We haven't even barely talked about that on this show because it doesn't matter. But the Kelce thing was like, you guys are lucky to be here. I can't even believe you guys made it this far. Hey, F you, man. Again, sorry, Joe. But like, you're Buffalo. You're wasting time. You know what they're going to do next year, Bloom? They're going to push for the playoffs. So they might make a playoff game and they might beat a Steelers team that doesn't deserve to be there. And then they're going to flip and lose. If Sean McDermott is their coach, they will not win a Super Bowl, period. Guaranteed.
Well, and I think that another way to say what you're saying is that whether or not these things are Sean McDermott's fault, sometimes, and this may or may not be one of those situations, sometimes change for change's sake, change just for the sake of making a change is beneficial. And it can be a placebo effect, it can be psychological, but you're right to say that they've had this recipe, they've had this formula, including the small tweaks now on offense with Joe Brady taking over midseason and so on. And we've seen enough. And we're going to call this team with this scenario of coaches and players. And let's include Stephon Diggs here too. Okay, Stephon Diggs was the vanguard of the new era on offense, right? When they got, we probably said on this show, oh, now that they have Stephon Diggs, they're serious about winning a Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Where was Stephon Diggs, on that play? I think other wide receivers, just picture that play where Stephon Diggs just mistracked the ball, and Josh Allen threw one of the best passes of his whole season. What if A.J. Brown was at the other end of that pass? What if C.D. Lamb was at the other end of that pass? What if Devontae Adams was at the other end of that pass?
Right.
Would you expect the same result? So that's another thing they're going to have to really examine this offseason.
Yeah, it's a Jerry Jeudy play, man. Come on. It is a Broncos show, but come on. And I like Diggs a lot. I backed Diggs last year when people were like, Diggs is a bad teammate. Diggs, and I'm like, you don't know everything. Diggs is Diggs, but damn it, you got to catch that. You can't run your mouth like that.
That's what you're paid for.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
that moment.
That's
great
the moment.
Pass. You mentioned the Allen pass. Allen might have played one of the best games, and it wasn't perfect. Okay, we're not asking him to be perfect, but damn it, it ain't gonna last us. I do not want us to do this show. We've seen so many careers come and go, right? 19 years of doing this show. Love it every single minute. And I don't want us to wrap up Josh Allen's career because he ain't gonna last. Okay. Look what happened to Cam Newton, right? That size, that sort of tenacity, that never say die attitude as a runner, it ain't gonna last. You big 6'5", 240, that's fine. Those hits add up. And to have it literally dropped in that game, it's frustrating, especially because I don't think Kansas City's the best matchup for Baltimore. That's Thursday's show, Bloom.
Okay.
As you can tell, I'm frustrated today. I'm sorry.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating because, I mean, in some ways, when we watch sports, it's a little test of what is true about this universe that we are inhabiting here. And you want to live in a universe where Buffalo can get over the hump, right? You want to see things happen that remind us anything is possible. And this isn't even an upstart Buffalo franchise at this point. But the part I think that's frustrating, or the part that really leaves an emotional scar, is why does it have to be wide right? Why does it have to be so many self-inflicted wounds, right? Why does there always have to be a feeling of we should have won? It's one thing whenever you play your best and the other team plays their best and it's just not good enough. That classic Miami-San Diego divisional round game, my first real vivid memory as a football fan, I think I was 6 years old, watching Kellen Winslow basically drug off the field after everything that he did for his team in that game. And that's what you want to see every playoff game go down like, right? You don't want it to be based on a call or a non-call. You don't want it to be based on a mistake or an error. You want it to be based on somebody playing above themselves. And for Buffalo, it always seems like they lose because in a key moment, they just couldn't execute.
They can't get past their past selves.
Yeah.
We want to get crunchy?
Yeah. Let's go on the couch. All right. Where should I begin, Cecil? I was born in 1975 in Mount Lebanon.
It all started when my father wouldn't let me ride the carousel. I've never ridden a carousel ever.
Oh, really?
In my life, ever. And I've kind of wanted to, but I always just remember being a kid and Dad would be like, we got horses at home. I'm like, yeah, but there's just going up and down in a circle. So they can't get past their past selves.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
that's kind of like the theme of this place, like
Yeah.
if you're making the cinematic epic about Earth, life on Earth for humans. Let's see if these beings can get past their past selves.
Let's see if you learned from the last time you were here. Brian Callahan is the new coach of the Tennessee Titans, and former Bengals offensive coordinator takes that step. They won't be as good without Mike Vrabel, at least not initially. We're going to maintain positivity for Callahan and company now leading the Titans. But Bloom, this is kind of a, huh? I mean, look at all the other coaching candidates. Look at who Atlanta's bringing in. It ain't as simple as it's just Belichick. Look at what the Chargers might do. And okay, Callahan, we all remember our draft class, right? We had our football guys staff meeting in Las Vegas, and we were going through our draft classes. And I was like, yeah, I remember my draft class. Bloom, and you were the draft class behind me. I was 2005, you were 2006. Class of 95. Anyway, it's like, well, this is your coaching draft class? Okay. To quote Grand Moff Tarkin, this had better work.
It better. I do think that at least the conventional wisdom. And let's take a moment out. This is a moment I want to send out love. Speaking of football guy staff meetings, send out some love to Jason Woodrow.
Love him.
Because Woodrow will, after we do a show, sometimes Cecil send me a note. Sometimes he'll gently correct me on something. He'll tell me, yeah, we said that. It's actually, Dallas and the Rams can't actually play in the playoffs. But I just know that because someone the caliber, a person, a mind of Jason Wood's caliber is listening to our show, that continues to tell me we're doing something good. And he will always tell us very correctly that we don't know anything about coaching hires. I mean, we don't know how they're going to go. We don't know. You can always compare the conventional wisdom at the time of the hire. It's even worse than grading draft picks, right? Because at least when we grade draft picks, we're going on film, we're going on tape. A lot of these guys, we have no idea, right? What if Bobby Slowick gets hired? We have no idea what Bobby Slowick, the head coach, is going to be like. We know what Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, is like. And similarly with Brian Callahan, this feels to me, Cease, like a rushed decision. A decision that is the old school where we talk about how it's more patient and you have to let things play out and you have to really interview everybody. And if you have the guy hired on January 15th or February 5th, it doesn't really make that much of a difference because you're talking about years, even an era of your franchise. And I felt like they thought, well, we don't hire Brian Callahan, then someone else is going to. And it's kind of a cocoon hire, right? Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan, he's been around. You certainly can look at what he has done with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. But again, Jason Wood would remind us, what's the skills that make a coordinator and the skills that make a head coach totally different. Complete. There's not only is there very little overlap, there shouldn't be overlap, right? Like when we hear Sean McDermott's going to lean in more on defense, things like that. We don't want that. That's not a good organizational chart. What happened with Bill Belichick having extra duties on the GM side, right? What's going to happen with his potential next stop? So I do think that the Titans kind of scored an own goal firing Mike Vrabel. We'll see what happens in Vrabel's next stop. So it would make sense they wouldn't have the most sound process to hire his replacement.
Yeah, not a sound process there. And, well, you mentioned the lineage. Like, how'd that work out for Nathaniel Hackett? Like,
sure.
I still remember one of Bill Callahan's greatest quotes. He's like, we got to be the dumbest team in America. I think it's when he was at Nebraska. I used to use it as a drop on this show. Remember when I used to sprinkle those throughout the show, Bloom?
Yeah.
When I would edit. Now I just put it at Bloom by himself. What do you know, Bloom?
Oh, I'm back.
My internet. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, my internet's taking a crap. So
Colorado internet.
I know. Holy cow. Maybe it's the below zero temperatures. Although it's nice today. I think it's going to be like.
I guess everyone got to see me just staring at my keyboard, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Wait, but is that you? Is that me? Who's going on? What's going on here?
Right. So I think again, I'll just put a punctuation mark on the Tennessee hire, that in this new era of teams taking their time and being thorough with their head coaching hires, it would kind of make sense the first hire or the first hire that isn't turning an interim head coach into a head coach would be underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming indeed. Not the case with the Raiders. Now it's interesting. I like Antonio Pierce a lot. I think this is a good move for Mark Davis and company. Certainly Max Crosby and Devontae Adams would agree with that statement. But Pierce staring at a division where he may be going up against Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and probably Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. And by the way, do you want my sneaky tinfoil hat theory, Bloom?
Always.
Harbaugh's going to draft J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
Probably second round. McCarthy's
Right.
not a first round pick, everybody.
Shouldn't be.
Okay. Give him
Shouldn't.
like a year. If he was coming out next year, then maybe he's a first round pick. He ain't a first round pick now.
No.
But because he had Alex Smith, who was behind him? Second round pick Colin Kaepernick. You know what happened? Smith gets a little banged up. Kaepernick comes in, whatever's whatever. Like, everyone loves Justin Herbert. He's amazing. But if Harbaugh's guy is McCarthy, wouldn't be surprised if he has. And I think that's really good for McCarthy, right? Go learn behind one of the best and Herbert and see if you can make it work. You can't have enough good quarterbacks in this league where 60 quarterbacks played, which leads me to the Raiders and their quarterback. Well, their head coach is Antonio Pierce now. We love it, but is Aiden O'Connor really going to be their future? I feel like the Tennessee thing we just talked about, like Will Levis, what's the old Bugs Bunny? Like, this is a life? Like, wait a second. What? This is okay. I mean, Will Levis is all right. And I like Aiden O'Connell. I like Aiden O'Connell more than I like Will Levis, but it's like, that's your plan? All right, let's see it.
Well, in some ways, the reason that Antonio Pierce is a good hire is why they might be going into next season with Aiden O'Connell, because they won games, because he produced the results-based business. He produced the results on the field. But for the Raiders as an organization, and Mark Davis, we're talking about Mark Davis, this is the pendulum swinging, hopefully in the right direction, because they had the splashy hire with John Gruden, and it just left waste, like scorched earth, right? There's no culture. There's nothing for them to carry forward from the John Gruden era. And then they bring in Josh McDaniels, and that is, well, the 13 years ago conventional wisdom. This guy's going to be a great head coach. Now, you could have looked at what has happened since then when he was with Denver and the blink of a moment that we thought he was going to be with Indianapolis, and even what the Patriots offense did after Tom Brady left with Josh McDaniels. And you could say, well, why? Well, it's because it's Mark Davis. But now Mark Davis swings all the way to the other side and says, wasn't it the players coming to him that made him fire McDaniels, right? So at least you're leaning in. At least you're saying, okay, let's make this a players team. And then let's look at Dan Campbell. Let's look at those Detroit Lions and say, be patient. Give him time. Give him 3, 4, 5 years to build the culture, build the program. And that means not forcing the quarterback pick when they're picking in the middle of the first round. Now, this is a deep enough quarterback class. You could move up, and it wouldn't necessarily cost you what it has cost a team like Carolina or San Francisco to move up. So we'll see. There's a lot of time to discuss that. But I think that at least if the players feel like they got this right, we should be open to Mark Davis getting this right.
Yeah, and Lester with the greatest comment off the top rope. I think this may be Mark Davis's first good decision ever.
Yeah. Sometimes the best decision is the one that takes the least effort. It's the one that takes we take ourselves out of the equation and say, well, I just need to just let things continue on the natural course they're on. That's the best decision.
Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Pierce is right there. It's right in your building, So you just make that happen. We'll see. They haven't hired the GM yet, right? And
they've interviewed Champ Kelly, Tom Telesco, and Ed Dodds. So I mean, Telesco's
Dodd's going to get the Chargers job, allegedly,
right,
or whatever I have to say. So it's like, okay, we're going to see Harbaugh and Dodds in Los Angeles with the Chargers as we look more, wrapping up today's program, Bloom. We've got some coordinator stuff. I guess we can talk about what's going on with Jacksonville. Dan Morgan, you can work with Dave Tepper.
That's odd.
So you know what it is? And the stories. I don't think I told you this story yet. I don't think I can tell this story. It's just funny. I'll say this, Bloom, and you'll know who I'm talking about. It's funny when you make fun of Dave Tepper in front of NFL people who laughs. because the dude's seen as a clown, allegedly, by others. So anyway, Dan Morgan, nice guy, really like him. You know, you're taking the job, man. You're taking the job. I'm sorry he won't be there long because Dave Tepper doesn't know what he's doing, but like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah. And the odd thing about Dan Morgan is, and it's been great to see his career, post-playing career, moving up through the ranks, starting out as a scouting intern, and now as, I forget what his title is, president something or other, but he's going to be the one who is the next person that Dave Tepper fires to blame for what's happening with the team, right? Because he's been with the team. He's been the assistant GM for the last 3 years. So what is it? Just Scott Fitterer has been blocking all of his good decisions that would have made this team good? Or they needed more Dan Morgan influence? I don't know. That this feels like continuity when you're looking for anything but continuity. They're interviewing Dave Canales for a second interview for head coach. Tampa offense has been good. Ryan Nielsen, and this is one where I understand Arthur Smith had to go and the Falcons have to turn the page. But Ryan Nielsen was one of the biggest success stories of this season as a coordinator, right? This was a vastly improved defense. You can say, oh, they signed Jesse Bates and they signed Calais Campbell, they signed all these guys, but you still have to actually make it work. Lots of teams, you have a lot of money to spend. That usually doesn't mean you're going to turn things around. It means you're getting the players that other teams decided they weren't going to keep. So I think that Nielsen is a really good hire for Jacksonville. Sounds like we're going to see next time we talk, it might not be, but looks like Nick Sirianni is going to be back. Brian Johnson is not. In Philadelphia, Atlanta, Belichick. We were on Belichick watch. Were you on Belichick watch, Cease?
It seemed like it was a done deal.
Yeah, not so much. And there's some hinting maybe that it's Rich McKay and him having his say in the kitchen, and maybe in the past that has kept certain people from being hired or wanting to be hired there. But looking at Bobby Slowick, looking at the Baltimore combo, Mike McDonald, Anthony Weaver, Zach Robinson, Chatfield Chargers.
Yeah, he was Liam's quarterback coach.
Yeah. Well, he might be.
He's a fast riser. He's going to be a head coach someday. I'm so happy.
He might be Kenny Pickett's offensive coordinator.
Can you say Kenny Pickett? The answer
is no. Right. Harbaugh, like you mentioned, sees the Chargers. Atlanta's in play there. Dan Quinn has Tennessee, Washington, Seattle in play. Raheem Morris. It's nice. I want to see Raheem Morris get another chance. And it looks like
I think he might.
He might. Atlanta, Carolina, Washington, Seattle. Shane Waldron might be the answer. We're still waiting for confirmation on that in Chicago. And on a player news, running things up, at least for the moment, the Browns are saying Nick Chubb's going to be back. And that makes me feel good. I feel a good feeling come over me to think that we might get to watch him rumble in a Cleveland Browns uniform again and wonder how the playoffs would have went this year if he hadn't gone down.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be back on Thursday, and we'll be doing a conference championship preview. Next week, it'll be a little touch and go. Bloom, actually, we'll talk off air. We might actually pre-record something.
Sure.
Because I will be leaving on Thursday. Actually, right after the show, I'll be leaving Thursday for Frisco, Texas, and the Shrine Bowl. I'll be there for a few days. On Monday, get your phone ready, Bloom. I might call you. I have a 9-hour drive from Texas to Mobile. So
let's record it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it reminds me, we did that road trip with Folletti back in the day. It was from Houston, though. And I think it was longer, or maybe it was shorter. I can't remember. Anyway, so 9 hours in a car by myself on Monday. I'm going to be calling you. I already have a scheduled call with Matt Waldman.
Oh,
that's going to be great. Yeah.
Enriching.
So, yeah. So Monday night, we might put something in the can for Tuesday. And then, of course, Senior Bowl recap, all that kind of stuff. 18 years in a row, 19 years of doing this show. And we are here for you. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at the Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying, do the YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you all. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?